Anyway, my name's Corey. My call sign is N1XWS. I'm from the Northern Berkshire Amateur Radio Club. We have a great repeater on top of Mount Greylock. Now that we've got it back to the old Master 2. So if anybody's been listening, you hear our famous beep from the 70s is back. So, so we started to use POTA to energize our club. And I'm just going to move. And the reason that we're here, we know it's not easy to energize your club. A lot of different factors, a lot of different people. Some people like the new stuff that's out there. Some people don't. So, and I put POTA is not the only way. So I've watched many, many hours of YouTube videos and everything else everywhere along the sun that you can think of. The biggest thing, stop doing the business meetings in person. Nobody wants to read your minutes anymore. Nobody wants to hear what bills we have to pay. And that came from a lot of different, like I said, a lot of research. I've done 40 to 80 hours at least, a lot of different videos and reading material. We use Google Meet or Zoom. You can use that. Google Meet was a lot less expensive than the Zoom. We get on there, the club officers get on there. If there's something that, is a major expense that we have to pay for, because we send out our emails and everything, we may only get just our club officers for that meeting. But then we do an in-person meeting all about fun. Have somebody present something. So what we did is we used POTA, and we made it fun. And then also, using POTA, it's something that a lot of the newer hams, they're seeing all this stuff on YouTube, all your YouTube personalities and everything else that are out there now. They want to know what it's about. So it gets people to gather. So I ended up going up and contacting the couple that's on their POTA Power. They actually did a presentation for us live. They were actually in a park at the time they did their presentation. So they got to show off their radio gear, talk about what POTA is. So like some of the technicians, they may not know if they're not really watching this stuff. So we had this big class and brought everybody in, for this. And then we set up the following month. We did a meet. We had food, and we had a lot of fun. And then just a few of the things at the bottom. Don't run people off your local repeater. Be welcoming. We've got a couple of our guys that are kind of the grumpy old men of the group. And if you're not talking about what he wants to hear about, he starts grumbling. It's like, whoa, be nice, be friendly. People don't want to go where they can't speak freely. Obviously you're on the air as long as you're not swearing, you're not talking negative, bad stuff like that. Let it be. And then also we started a Discord. Our Discord is the busiest thing with our club right now. Constantly, every day, somebody's got something in there. We started up a coffee chat in the morning. Like if you're sitting around, I usually try to say, good morning, and I put up a funny coffee meme up there. And it just gets a lot of people start talking and everything under the sun, from Meshtastic to all the new stuff like that. And people are loving it.
Older members too?
Older members too. We've trying to think. Chuck is in his late 60s, and he's one of our probably our busiest people that are on there constantly. And we've got multiple different groups. We've got one group for every repeater. So that way, if there's something going on, the repeater's not working right, we tell everybody, send us a message under that so we can say, okay, our 425 repeater's acting up. What do we got to do? So that way, instead of sending an email, and then you can go on and chit chat with each other. So it's been a great positive experience on that part of it for us. So after we did our live video, we planned the outing, we had some food, and then my number 3, it makes people happy. People love to eat. At least I do. So we set up at our local park. And our biggest feat was all of a sudden the ranger came by and asked us where our permit is. So the biggest thing is luckily I knew the gentleman, but the biggest thing is be nice. Told him what we were doing, and then I explained to him, if you go onto the state's website, it says anything over 50 to 100 people you have to have a permit for. Then he said he was going to call his boss, blah, 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 blah. He left us alone. But and you can see our little dipole setup up there. And we made quite a few contacts. We activated the park, and this lit everybody up. Everybody got to talking. They want to play more radio, and we had multiple antennas set up with different radios. We let everybody, bring their radios and stuff, and just to get to play a little bit. Some of them were new; they didn't quite know how to use them. The guys that we had around, they've been in radio longer than I've been alive, so it's just one of those things. So it made people happy, and like I said, everybody was there. We were talking. We actually had a couple young folks, 10, 11 years old, come up. We had flyers telling them what we were doing. So that way, and then their parents came up and interacted with us, and we've got a couple of young hams out of that. We also do classes as well. And that was a big jump start for us. And then our things not to do. Don't talk smack about certain aspects of the radio you don't like. And yes, FT8 is real radio. That's always that's been and I'm sure a few of you know what I mean, because there's a lot of talks about they don't like it. But you got to understand, if these are the new guys coming in, they're kind of mic shy. They don't like to talk. FT8's their perfect thing for them. Get them on 10 meters FT8, you can make contacts all day long and not have to say a word. So it's just that kind of stuff. And then when you're out, do not put screws or anchors in the trees. That will really upset your folks at the park. Even with a permit, a lot of times they don't even like just the soft anchors in the ground. Yeah, some of them are tough. They don't want, so that's why we set it up right off the back of the truck. It's into a hitch, and we've got the dipole mount for the ham sticks, and it worked out well. So like I was saying, they don't want to hear you bash something that they just learned. Try to just keep it to yourself. We use it as a joke, and we get people laughing now because our club president, Eric, he always, FT8's not real radio. You're talking to the computer to computer. Any questions? I made it kind of short. We got to get your...
So the ones that have something negative to say about FT8, I usually shut them right up by asking them when the last time they were on it was. And if they say never, I said, you don't have a pony in this race. I said, seriously, because I use it. I've been licensed a lot of years. I use it every single day to complement all the other stuff that I do. It's the best propagation tool there is.
He was first. Oh, thank you. So when you say your business meetings aren't really part of the general membership, and it's pretty much just the club officers that get together, and
right.
Do you still do them monthly, or?
Yes, we send out an invite via email as well as a newsletter.
To everyone?
To everyone that's in the club.
Okay.
The ones that go to the meeting end up just being the officers and, and everybody from the club part of it.
So it's
and
open invite.
It's open invite to everybody. So that way they can see what we talk about. We're trying to get more repeaters on the air. We're trying to do more things.
Yeah.
But then once we start bringing this to them in person, again, it lightens everybody up. It's like, okay, we don't have to sit here and listen to Eric talk for the next 45 minutes about, our electric bill that we just got after being up on the mountain, all winter long. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, how come it's $400?
How do you vote on things? And how,
Yeah.
Yes, we end up having to have a quorum for anything, as our bylaws state. But as long as we've got everybody from the board, as well as the upper officers, that's enough for our quorum. Okay. If it's going to be something that's really expensive, then we try to get more people. But believe it or not, we have over 100 members, and for the past couple years, it had been 5 or 6 people in the in-person meetings.
So another plug for FT8, whether you're at field day or POTA or teaching a class, is that it is a great instructional mode for explaining how a contact works, because it's running in the background in an automated fashion. And then you're able to explain to your audience what CQ is, what the call sign exchange is, what the signal report means, and et cetera, and expand on it. In a voice contact, you might add your name, your KTH, et cetera. But I find it takes a lot of the pressure off of the person who's doing the demonstration. Whenever I've found myself having to explain a sideband contact or, heaven forbid, a CW contact, it's very difficult to be working the radio and explaining to somebody else what you're doing. So another plug for the digital modes.
Yes, absolutely. And when we do our classes, actually one of our instructors has it set up at his house, and he just goes on the internet and signs into it, and he runs it from there, and he shows them what it is. And that's why I threw this out there, because they're always squabbling back and forth. Okay, this is real radio. It's not real radio. It's like, all right, just let him do his thing.
Yeah. Did you ever work with other clubs to do like a combined club POTA type activation?
Not as of yet. I've had the Mount Tom group had reached out, and we've been talking about it. It'll probably going to be in late fall or early spring. We'd like to get something put together and see if we can get a broader audience, as well as an email that was just sent out talking about trying to get clubs to come together to do more things as a group.
Yeah. What about, I mean, it's not POTA, but what about fox hunts?
Yes, and Mount Tom actually did some building of the tape measure antenna, and they've been trying to do that. They haven't got to the fox hunt part yet, and it was lightly attended, so they're kind of up and down, like, what do we do? And the big thing is, like I was saying, use the newer stuff, stuff that you're seeing. I follow every ham radio YouTuber out there just to get ideas. I'll be laying in bed, I've got my ear pod in, and I'm listening to it, and then of course your mind starts to go.
So fox hunting is kind of old school, stay away from it, or?
I wouldn't say stay away from it. Anything that brings people together is a good thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll just expand on fox hunting. I think the club that does it best is the Meriden Amateur Radio Club, MARC. They do a fox hunt every week. Dave Tipping, NZ1J, coordinates it. They have several transmitters out. They have a 1-watt transmitter, a 10 milliwatt transmitter, and a 1 milliwatt transmitter, and they're all in the same location. And the idea is all you need is your tape measure Yagi, no attenuator, or you're following in your car, again, no attenuator. You just flip frequencies to the lower powered transmitters as you get saturated with the higher powered transmitter, and it'll take you right up to the parking lot where the Fox is with no attenuator. They're all in the same location. Now, he hides them in different parts of the park where they're located. So then the on-foot part commences, and then you do need the attenuator, but chances are somebody's got one that you can borrow. And if you're a beginner, it's a great way to get people into fox hunting doing it that way.
And the funnier part of the fox hunting thing, during our POTA event, all of a sudden our 9-1 repeater went down. Somebody was jamming it, so they thought. So we're going through it, and at the end, we're like, all right, everybody's going different ways. Let's try to triangulate this. I start pulling into town. I'm like, all right, I got full signal here. So we went up. There was one gentleman that's trying to become a ham, and I know he's got a Baofeng. So drove by his house, and it started to drop. I'm like, okay, it's not there. So I gave up. I go and pull in front of my house. It's my Echolink node in the basement that decided the Raspberry Pi had got it stuck on. It was my house. So we found it, and luckily it was a Motorola radio, so it was pretty bulletproof. It went for 8 hours being keyed up at 20 watts, and it didn't even hurt it.
That's when you serve pizza to the new hands.
Anything else? Any other questions? Like I said, there's not anything that you can do wrong. just be active. Try to bring things to bring people together. We even started with our in-person stuff to have fun. Donuts, coffee. I bring it with me. Water, because we've got a group that's out of Pittsfield. They've got a water plant there. We get it for free, so it constantly shows up. So I constantly try to get it out and use it. And it's just about, even, you get there, you do a short presentation like this, 20 minutes, half an hour. And then a lot of times people have questions, programming the radio and stuff like that. And there's a lot of people in our clubs that are very smart, very good at doing that. And then, now they're happy. They leave, they've got all the repeaters for everywhere in their radio and that kind of thing. So as long as you're bringing people together, that's the biggest thing. Because NVARC was probably stale for the last 8 to 10 years. You'd show up to field day, there'd be all 4 of us. And it was the same people over and over. And then I jumped in as vice president and then started to do stuff. And then everybody started to liven up and like, oh, you guys are still here. All right. That's all I've got, unless somebody has anything.
So we've got a few minutes. We've got 6 to 7 minutes. Yes. 6 to 7 minutes before the next